house and left a business card on their door. CPS had also never met the family, never met Drake, and never spoken to a single doctor or other person who had any first-hand knowledge of any of Drake's medical conditions. All the same, CPS showed up at the family's house unannounced and without warning 2 weeks later with armed police officers and forcibly removed him from his home. Drake has never come back home. So Ashley and Daniel went to court to figure out why. Why was Drake taken? What had they done wrong? What was the emergency? And I went to court with them. What we heard there shocked all of us. CPS gave 2 reasons for why Drake had to be removed from his home in an emergency. They said that the family had failed to attend a meeting with the hospital on June 10th. But CPS also testified under oath that they had intentionally not informed the family that that meeting was happening. So how was the family supposed to show up at a meeting that they didn't know was taking place? The second reason that CPS gave why Drake had to be removed from his home was because of the doctor who originally reported the family to CPS. But that doctor got up on the stand and testified under oath that she had not reviewed all of Drake's medical records, never thought there was an emergency requiring that Drake be removed from his home, never requested that Drake be removed from his home, and was surprised to learn that Drake had been removed from his home. But worst of all, when that doctor was asked how her medical recommendations could be met as long as Drake remained in CPS care, she said, "I don't know." You would think that after all of this was laid out publicly, that CPS would admit their error and back down. But instead, CPS dug in their heels and refused to admit their mistake in order to save face. Instead of returning Drake, I watched CPS stand up in the courtroom and ask the judge to keep Drake even longer. And unbelievably, the judge closed his eyes to the facts and allowed CPS to keep Drake for up to a year. Ashley and Daniel are living a nightmare. Their son is 4 years old. He needs to be home with his family who loves him, not with a government agency who's gone out of control and refuses to admit its error. But there's one other twist that you need to know about this. At the end of that court hearing, the judge put a gag order on Ashley and Daniel. If they spoke with the media or were part of this video or posted on Instagram about what's happening to their son, they could be thrown in jail. Ashley and Daniel can't stand up for their own son because the court put a gag order on them. Drake can't stand up for himself because he's 4 years old and he's being held in state custody. The state of Texas has refused to stand up for Drake. They're the ones who kidnapped him from his home. CPS protects thousands of children, but they're not protecting Ashley and Daniel's son. Drake is experiencing the most traumatizing event of his life. He's been ripped from his family and he's being held by the state with no end in sight. So who will speak up for Drake? Who is even left to protect him? We are. We are Drake's last hope. If we don't stand up for Drake, no one else will. CPS, the judge, and the hospital need to be held accountable. We will not rest until we bring Drake home. Take action at bringdrakehome.com. We are the only ones left who can speak for Drake. Don't be silent. Visit bringdrakehome.com to see how you can help.
All right. You guys seeing all, whoa, sorry, got way close to my face there for a second. You guys seeing all that? This is the stuff that nightmares are made out of, by the way. Nightmares are made out of stories like this. And we want to keep pretending that we live in a free country and that we live in a free society and that we have all these rights. And the thing is, we have all these rights. They were given to us, God-given. You're born with these rights. I mean, if you're born in America, you have these rights, okay? But not when a bunch of people want to come in and now create fake story, fake fear, in order to get you to willingly give up your rights. That's why tyrannical bills continue to get passed. And medical kidnapping is real. We've spoken on it before. I have a CPS highlight. If you're sitting back kind of afraid or if that something like that could happen to you, something like that could happen to all of us, which is why that mother yesterday, okay, first of all, I wouldn't have even gotten on that mother's case. I would not, the one from Australia that was, I would have just ignored the story, just been like, well, that sucks. Your kids are going through what they're going through. The thing about that pissed me off is her comment about how CPS should get involved. Like, hey, if anybody works for CPS, because I'm telling you guys, there are people out there that follow the system, that trust in the system, even though it's completely, got hair here, even though it's completely broken and it's a failed, flawed system to begin with. But there are people out there that are big believers in the system, and they are the first people in line to report you. They will be the first people to, and you would think that in a perfect world, it would be the opposite, right? It would be the parents that are not poisoning their children, that are calling on agencies to come in and save the children that are being poisoned with poison. Because go figure, poison is not good for you. That's why it's called poison. So how can you have things that are listed as poisons? We're in a messed up society right now. This story, a gag order. I'm going to jump way past the thoughts to like what a closing thing would be on this, because I hate to break it to you. Well, actually, yeah, if this is your first live, jump off, get off this live. What is what? Hold on. What about the family that was passing by a state and the mom went into labor? They gave her a cesarean and took her baby. Yes, that story happened. I think that was a year ago, right? And the family was not really, I don't think that they were necessarily from here. I feel like they were more immigrants, because I was reading the clips that came out. I think that their English wasn't that great, but they took her baby. She wasn't even, I don't think she was even in labor. Like, she wasn't ready to go through labor yet. She was having labor pains, but they ended up taking her to the hospital, cutting her open and taking her baby. The dad was foreign. Okay. Yeah, and these are, okay, you're thinking that's a big news deal story. Why is it not making why are we not seeing it? Because your media is controlled. Because your media is completely controlled. There's so many medical kidnapping cases out there, and we forget that it could happen to anyone. CPS is a crock of shit, okay? Get your kids off this live. CPS, I don't have the time to break down the history right now on CPS. Maybe Jed will come on and do a live with me one of these days. But you guys wonder what happened to orphanages in America? We used to have orphanages, and we're not in a place in society where we just don't have orphans anymore. Where do you think the orphans go? Foster care, for sure. But you are lying to yourself if you think that there aren't still big institutions that harbor and hold all of these kids that are orphans. And sometimes they're only orphans because you have a system like CPS in this country that comes in and just takes kids with no grounds. And the orphanages back then, I mean, it's a good thing that they're all kind of closed down in this country right now, but it's like, well, then what happened? What now happened with all these kids that don't have parents? What do you think is happening to these kids that don't have parents? 400,000 children in America go missing every year. And we're sitting back and we're worried about 2 cases of measles in a county. I'm telling you, wake up. When we're saying wake up, that's why we're saying wake up. There is a lot going on, and there's a lot going down right now. CPS is like culprit number 1, that they help assist in this, okay? They can just come into your house. Are you kidding me? This is why you need to know about your rights. And that's why I have that highlight to begin with, because they don't teach you your rights in school. They don't teach you your rights. They don't teach you how to defend your rights. And you got parents that are just, any doofus can come up to your door with some kind of a badge and be like, I'm with Child Protective Services. Let us, like, you hear the word services and you just open your door to this nobody to come into your house. It's like, why are you opening your door to begin with? If you are new to the topic of medical kidnapping and you need to start YouTubing before they keep pulling all these videos, okay? You need to be YouTubing CPS Takes Children. There's a lot of videos out there that are very disturbing. There's a book called Out of Control, Who's Watching Our Child Protective Services? Dirty tactics that CPS uses because it is a failed system. You know that there's over 90,000 reports of abuse by these kids that survived the CPS foster system, like over 90,000 reports of abuse. These are the people that actually took the time to go and like report what happened to them. Most people dealing with this kind of trauma, they don't report it or they commit suicide. I'm just saying. Even the innocent are under investigation with CPS, as you just witnessed. That is one case, okay? If your child says something at school, that raises a red flag. That gives them the right to open up a CPS case. And as you just saw, they don't have to let you know that there's a meeting date. They purposefully won't let you know that there's a meeting date, and then they're going to come knocking at your door and rip your children from your arms. There is a family right now in Dallas, Texas, that is going through this very thing. And wake up if you think that it cannot happen to you. And there's a lot of families right now in California. I just spoke to a mom who don't know what to do with their kids this year because their kids can't attend public school. Okay? There was a kidnapping case here in Vegas that happened. Well, I don't think the family was from Vegas. It was a mother who was fleeing. I think that they were coming from upwards of Washington. They were coming down to Vegas because the daughter has videos on YouTube pleading. She was 13 years old, pleading on YouTube, saying, I don't want to do chemotherapy. I think she did chemo once and it messed up her system so badly and she's crying. She does not want chemotherapy, but because it was the doctor's recommendation, it was going to be forced that she undergo this a second time. Well, the mother took the daughter to Vegas, I'm assuming to find some kind of alternative care. This is where they got stopped. This is where, I don't know how they found them, but they ripped the daughter from the arms of the mother, and this teenage girl is now going through chemotherapy. Gag ordered the mom. Because now you're a parent and you're number one. When your kid is taken from you, you just have to do everything you can in your power to get your kid back. So if the court is telling you that if you talk about this case or you're on social media or you're doing this and that, that's going to ruin your chances of getting your kid back. Of course, you're going to obey the court at that point. You are at the mercy of the court. The judges are in cahoots with CPS. That is how this whole thing goes. Not every judge, okay, God, seriously, not every judge. There's some great judges out there, like Judge Judy, only one. She could have solved the Epstein case like that. I mean, actually, you know what? Blue's Clues could have solved the Epstein case. So what do you need to do if you're feeling like there's threats going on? Get an attorney. Sometimes all you have to say to people, what a lot of us don't understand, is the only word you have to ever say is lawyer. Lawyer. Even if they berate you, even if they corner you into a room, even if hours have gone by and they're trying to pull stuff out of you, just lawyer. No habla inglés. Lawyer. 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 You don't have to explain yourself to anybody, especially somebody that works for the state, that is a state actor, that likely has a degree in music and got a job with CPS, okay? No offense to those who have a degree in music. I'm just saying it doesn't take anything to get a job with CPS. You're not talking Law and Order SVU, you know? You're not talking these detectives and what they had to go through. It's not like the dun 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 dun. None of that. You don't need any of that to get a job with CPS. P.S. Where are all the woke people applying for jobs with CPS right now? Hello? You need a job and you're woke and you want to do something and be a hero, like a silent hero. Go apply for CPS. Go apply to be a Facebook fact checker, okay? Because somebody's got to unblock some of my accounts every now and then. I keep getting jailed here. All I'm doing is sharing some truth. I got to make light of this. This is scary. But I don't want this whole live to be like me crying. Because I honestly, I saw this bring Drake home stuff yesterday. I saw it last night and I just like, my heart hurts, you know? Jeff and I just sitting there going, and I'm contemplating every day, should I continue to be here? Should I continue to be doing stuff like this, to talk like this? Because it takes one troll. It takes one sick, deranged troll to be like, I'm just going to get this person, make them shut up. Every day I'm on here, it sucks for my family. But I just feel like I need to keep waking people up. I need to get more people waking up, because what's a story like that going to do for most parents? It's going to make you shut up, right? They want you to shut up. They're like, we need to get a family. We need to make them the example, and everybody else gets to sit back and shut up. No, all the more, I'm sorry, all the more, you got to choose. What were you put on this planet for? What were you put here for, if not to shine light on really dark corners of this world, okay? Because it's an evil world. And it just sends chills up my spine when I think about stuff like this, which is why every now and then I have to bust out the dark humor on here, because it's the only thing that really gets me through. But the thought of any of this stuff happening to me personally, or people that I love personally, it's scary. But you guys, we need to start educating ourselves and knowing that we have it in us to educate ourselves. This is the sick, sad truth. Your children are being born into a world that requires you now as a parent to trust that system, to completely not trust yourself, to be so insufficient and not capable in something like taking care of your kid when they're sick. They are being born right now into a world that is calling being sick 5 months out of the year normal, that is calling chronic illness normal, that is telling these very babies that come out that are so precious and so just, that they are likely only going to be able to make it to the age of 60 to 70 years old, because that's when people die off, because you're likely going to lose your mind. You're probably going to die from cancer or heart disease, because that's the world you were born into. And the reality of it all is they were never put on here, okay, to be dependent on a pharmaceutical industry. They were never put on here for that. Not you, or you and I weren't put on here for that either. Well, why is it that age? Well, the government has to pay you out. They're negative trillions of dollars. So this same government that these mombies want to keep saying we need to trust our government, they're negative trillion something dollars. Have you seen this? When they got to negative $1, that's when this entire society should have stood up and been like, excuse me, someone needs to be fired. Yeah, because most of this country is giving 40% of their income. If you're in like 43 states, you're paying an income tax, right? 40% it can get up to of your income goes back to this government that is negative money. So as soon as $1 was missing, people should have been in an uproar. Okay, wait, what do you mean you're negative $1? You should be positive billions of dollars right now, because we're all giving you guys money. So who is in charge of delegate? Like, did none of you bitches in government play Monopoly? Do you guys need to all sit back together and play Monopoly again? Because last I checked, you can't be negative anything. You're out the game. You're actually in jail. Okay, you're in jail and you can't make any moves. You owe people money. Negative $1. So I love how this country can say things like, we owe trillions to China. No, bitch. You owe trillions of dollars to China. I owe AT&T like $100 a month. I owe Chase Bank a couple thousand for my mortgage. Like I owe Subaru for my car payment. I don't owe China money. You bitches owe China money. I'm just saying, sorry if your kids shouldn't be listening into this one, because it's so annoying and it's so upsetting, but oh my God, trust the government. They can't even keep money straight. We're giving them millions, billions, and they're like, Doop-de-doo. Look at all this money trickling in. Like, this is basic math shit. Sorry, but it's so annoying, right? Like, it's so, like, if you really sit back and think about it, it's like, who's the tool that lost the first dollar? That's what I want. I don't even want to know anything else, news. Like, but this is back then when people still had the newspapers that they had to sit and open and read through when they were living on their farm. Going, hey, did you see that there's a deficit? There's a deficit of like $10 right now. And that's when all the farmers should have gone up and been like, excuse me, with the pitchforks, until you want more money from us, you need to first find that missing $10. You know, oh, they were distracting you with storming Area 51 and all that stuff, but I've seen some memes. David James Rodriguez had posted this up too, where he was like, why do we need to storm Area 51? How about we just all collectively stop paying taxes? What are they going to do? Jail us all? Are they going to suicide us all if we just stop paying taxes? Now somebody's going to come knocking on my door for like inciting some, you know, whatever. Just whatever. I get it. I get why people snap and are just overpaying taxes. I'm literally paying somebody that doesn't even have first grade math skills. That's our government. They don't even have the math skills of a first grader, okay? My daughter has a piggy bank that can retain money. Okay, she understands interest too. She does. When she was 6, she had a friend that asked her if they could borrow $5 for lunch. My daughter demanded back $6. She's like, okay, fine. When you pay me back though, it's going to be $6. And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, well, that's interest. I'm like, really? She's like, well, she's borrowing my money. I don't know when she's going to pay it back. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, like, I'm just saying. I don't know who I'm raising right now. I was like, God, what if I need to borrow money? Anyway, I won't get into that in this second, but I'm just saying it's hard for me now to get into this thing of learning about it, right? Because we are like fighting a system that is literally being run by 6-year-olds. Like people with the brains of 6-year-olds. That's who we're fighting all day long. That's who they're sending to your house. Idiots. Get an attorney. Attorney. That whole Miranda right thing, it's not for your protection, you guys. When we were getting our concealed carry and going through like the courses and the stuff here, this guy who was likely ex-CIA, because he's like not allowed in a bunch of different countries, like his stories were amazing. It was like the best class I ever took. It was like 4 hours and I thought I was going to be bored the entire time. It was just a bunch of facts. It was like a bunch of like, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. This is who you have to call. And it was like, oh my God, this was like the best $70 I've ever spent in my life. If you're in Nevada, you should really take a course like that. Just saying. But he was saying that whole anything you say can and will be used against you. That part of the can and will be used against you is serious. That's why they say it, so that you know that they said it. So don't say anything. Don't let anybody into your house. Ask what the allegation is before letting them in if they do come in with a search warrant, because they need a search warrant. Then you can decide if you need to call an attorney or not, and then calmly record the entire interaction if you're able to, because you're going to be frantic, okay? Do not let the fact that you know you're innocent result in letting your guard down in any of this. Do not do it, okay? Your First Amendment. Know your First Amendment. Read it aloud. Read it. Recite it with your children. Know your Fourth Amendment. Not allowing someone in your home without a warrant and not allowing them at your own free will. Opening your doors under duress, meaning you feel like you're being threatened. That's the only reason you're opening your doors. Say it. Learn what duress means, okay? It's threats, violence, constraint, any other action that's brought to bear on someone to do something against their better will or their judgment. Learn it. You got some stuff to learn. before we get all up in arms about what's going on with this family right now, because it sucks what's going on with this family. You have a CPS whistleblower named Carlos Morales. Look him up, okay? He was a special investigator. He has done some talks. He will tell you that the entire system of CPS was built to fail, their ability to destroy people's lives. You still have fathers in prison right now, okay? You still have fathers in prison right now because they were caught with a joint and CPS came and took their kids away from them. And this keeps happening, especially in these impoverished areas in society where they are purposefully leaving these families to run on a single income and under a single mother. And what are they doing for this mother and her kids? They are distracting them. They're giving them the free cell phone, which is AKA tracking. Distract your kids. Let us educate your kids. Your kid's not paying attention in school because you need to work 2 jobs. We got Ritalin for your kid. We got Adderall for your kid. This is sick. Look up the Franklin cover-up. It is a book. It goes into the deep pedophile rings that are supplying children. I'm telling you, it's some deep stuff here, you guys. And you know what? All of this stuff going on right now, I sit and I have to sit in the morning and I have to sit in prayer because we've been praying for the children. If you've known of this stuff for the last couple years and all of this right now is very unsettling to you, because it is unsettling to me, but you've been woke to it, understand that God is working through all of our prayers right now because we have been praying for him to come and save these thousands of children that continue to get kidnapped. So if you're feeling all of the shakes and you're feeling all of the stress, please understand that he has heard our cries. He has heard our prayers. He is coming to save these children. We are going through the uncomfort right now of having to listen to this news and having to deal with it, but we are not the kids right now that are sitting there waiting to be saved. They're waiting to be saved. Your prayers are working. That's why all of this is coming undone. This is unraveling, and it's going to get messier and worse before it gets better. So please understand that it is in his plan. This has to happen because there are children that need saving. That's how I have to sit with this, because it's pain. It's heart-wrenching to know that this is happening to all these kids. Why is all of this stuff getting exposed right now? Why are all of the elites, the pedophiles, these celebrities, these people that were in charge, why are all of their names coming out right now, out of the woodwork? It has to happen. And there's going to be a lot of unrest. And it's still going to be to where you need to stay vigilant and know your rights, because the zombies around you don't know their rights. And they think that they have the right to throw your butt into a jail or to have your kids pulled away from you because you're the one that is harming society by trying to keep society pressures and demands that are insane on your family. And what's, like this could be, I just don't want this to be a 10-hour talk, but it's like this is leading up into the adoption racket too, because do you know that you can't even adopt a kid without them being up to date fully on their shots? And like you're adopting the kid and let's say you have a heart for adoption, because I feel like we all do. I've talked with my husband about adoption often. Like I would love to just take in a couple other kids. And I feel like even though it doesn't seem like we financially could, just you do something good like that and you're just able to. But then try to look it up right now what that means to adopt. They investigate your family like crazy. And then when you do adopt a kid and you don't take them in for the well checks, you don't take them in for these visits that are like mandated by the state, it's like all the more putting a red flag on your family. It's so dirty. It's so dirty and corrupt. Your foster homes are funded too. Foster parents get more money for every disability that a child has. Did you guys know that? ADHD, bipolar, insomnia. Foster homes are being incentivized to drug these kids. Not all of them. There are some great foster parents out there. I have to say that. But if you're just one of those parents that is needing the extra money and you don't really care about kids, but you know that there's a government program that if you take in a kid or two, you're going to get paid money. There are horror stories out there of what these foster kids have gone through, and the foster parents are just pocketing this money. So you have fake cases of these kids that are now being taken in, and the more prescriptions they're getting, the more these foster parents can demand, oh, well, now I got this kid that's got 5 needs. So because he's got 5 needs now, I need extra money. I'm telling you, there are crooked people out there that can do this. We just have to stop pretending like it's not happening, because it's happening. Once again, they're not all taking money. I know of some people who foster kids that are amazing people, but they've admitted to me too that, yeah, well, this kid came to me with like 3 different disabilities, and I got to now take them twice a week to this therapist. And because I have to do that, the state does give me more money to do that. But it's not my fault. I didn't put them on these. It's like, yeah, I'm not blaming you. But I think because they hear a lot of my chats and they're like, I'm not. Obviously those kids are better off with somebody that gives a crap, right? So, you know what? Just look it up. There's even a website called fightcps.com. Just know that this stuff is happening, okay? And it's sick. It's just freaking deranged. It's so deranged where we're living in right now. I mean, God, what? My prayers are with this family in Dallas. Their boy has been taken from them for no good reason. He's 4 years old. Even in court, even after they've proven that CPS was in the wrong, the judge sided with CPS and kept that kid for an additional year away from their parents. Can you imagine? This is sick. This is sick. And they're distracting you with all of their shootings, because this same public that's buying into this basura is going to be ready here to give up their guns. And many of them don't have guns, so they want you to give up yours. Your rights to defend yourself. You guys see what's going on in Hong Kong right now? All these people that are saying no civilian needs military-grade weapons. You literally go look up what's happening in Hong Kong and convince yourself that no civilian needs military-grade weapons. Watch the military fighting civilians in Hong Kong and tell yourself that the Second Amendment was for hunting deer. Just like you tell yourself that we have to pay taxes because of roads, because we need roads. Really, roads? That's why we got to give up like almost half our income because of roads? Okay. Because you sound like a conspiracy theorist now. Nobody believes that. So what's going on? Oh, hey, Red Pill. And I feel like I can say this right now. Red Pill and I are going to do a live tomorrow. Yay, live tomorrow. I believe it's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific, right? 10 a.m. Pacific. Red Pill, we are discussing CPS, the foster care system right now. We are discussing why we're paying 40% income for roads. All of that. So it was due to the medical kidnapping case of that boy Drake in Dallas. I only have like 15 minutes left on this one here, but I'm getting a lot of messages now regarding, because I know I get it, school just started. So a lot of you throughout America are under the impression that if your kids go to private schools or if they go to like a Catholic school, that your medical exemption should just fly and it should just work. I'm going to read to you some of what the law says actually right now, because I feel like you were misled. Because yeah, you're spending a lot of money. I get it. You're spending a lot of money. Like I have a neighbor here who's spending $1,700 a month for one kid to go to a private school here, okay? And she's just under the impression that she has all these rights. And I'm like, no, you don't. It's a private school. That doesn't mean anything. That means it's like a private business. Private businesses have the right to refuse service. Like a lot of people don't get that. You know, why does my pediatrician tell me she's going to fire me? Because you're wasting your pediatrician's time? Because your $25 copay to go and get a well check for them to weigh and measure your baby and put a measuring tape thing around the circumference of their head is a waste of time when they could get a kid that is going to be over a $400 bonus in their pocket? Like, that's why they're telling you that they're firing you. But can they do that? What do I do then if my baby's sick? First of all, you need to get a grip, okay? It's a private business. They have to keep the lights running, and they can decide whether they want to deal with the 45-minute waste of time that your session's going to be. You guys have seen how I've wasted pediatricians' time, right? A lot. I do it a lot. Sometimes I just call and just ask a million questions because it's wasting their time. There was that one visit that I took my kids to where they were pissed at me because I was like, I need to see all these inserts. Because she wanted Sebastian that day to get the flu shot, the Hep B, the MMR, the DTaP, and there was one more on there. I think the Hib. And I was like, I need to see all these inserts. So she was so pissed, she had to leave me in that room because I had to open out all the inserts over the table. And I wasted 45 minutes in that room, you guys. And I still didn't sign their clipboard. I'm just saying, it's their business. They can do whatever they want, kind of. Unless you're a Christian baker, then you have to bake cakes for everyone, or you'll be sued. That's how this country works, right? It's fun. It's fun to wake up in this country and be like, what are they gonna change their minds on today? So, do private schools and daycares have to honor the vaccine exemptions that are permitted by the state law? The answer is no. Private educational and childcare institutions that are including daycare, preschool, elementary through high school, vocational schools and colleges do not have to honor the non-medical exemptions permitted by state laws and honored by public schools funded by tax dollars. They should honor medical exemptions because that's via the doctor and you, but okay. I know, red pill. Yeah, that's probably the better way to say it. Oh, what are they going to do to fuck with my rights today? It's just another Thursday afternoon. What next? So the first step in determining whether the private educational institution will accept non-medical exemptions is to request a copy of their health policy and procedures relating to vaccination requirements. You guys understand you can request these things from the school, right? Especially if you're paying the school. Even in a public school or a charter, did you guys know, side note, that they have spray days? So all that green grass that you're seeing in your kid's school when you're going, it's the month of August and it's like 110 out. How is that grass green? Oh, well, we're spraying it all day long. We're not just watering it, we're spraying it too. They got Roundup days. So there are days where there's heavy pesticides going on at your kid's school. Did you know that you have every right as a parent to request that the school tells you when they're spraying? Because I got friends that are woke that their kids don't go to school on spray days and they don't go to school for like 2 to 3 days after spray days. You're welcome. You're welcome. You can do that. You just need to take the time to like Google up some information about your kid's school because we have to know these things, right? We got to know these things. But we're from a generation like that Sebastian Maniscalco comedian where he's like, my dad didn't even know where the school was. You got to know these things, especially if you're sending your kids off with strangers. So often, private educational institutions that receive funding from the state will accept students with non-medical exemptions, but that is not always the case, particularly if the course of the study involves medical education programs such as nursing, dentistry, or other health fields, okay? It is important to check your state exemption laws and how they apply to these institutions. So here's another question. I object on religious grounds to use vaccines that were grown on cell lines derived from aborted fetal material. So must Catholic schools accept our religious exemptions for these vaccines? You would think that that's a no-brainer. Oh, well, no duh. No duh, a Catholic school or a private Christian school is going to be like, we don't want anything to do with aborted fetal cells, right? We would understand, especially these people that are giving us a lot of money every month. Here's your answer. Private schools that do not receive government funding, including religious institutions, do not have to accept non-medical waivers, meaning you're religious exempt, your Catholic school can be like, nope, even if your state allows it. It's all kinds of stuff, isn't it? This is just all of us here right now, backed into a corner. What next? What next? Some Catholic schools do not accept exemptions based on religion, even for vaccines that were developed using fetal cell lines. The policy of the specific school is set by the local diocese. I don't want to go down that road right now. But you know what I'm thinking. Many of you are like, oh, we know. As an official matter, the Vatican has ruled that the use of aborted fetal cell lines in vaccines is not a basis for a church-based policy requiring use of a religious waiver to vaccination. Okay, however, in Catholic canon, there is a language which pertains to the duty of every human being to always obey the judgment of conscience. So if you are a Catholic, you may want to discuss this issue with the priest. You may want to go to the local diocese and have a talk, at the very least, because it might, if at anything, if your kid still is not allowed to go to school, it might at least give you a bit of a spiritual awakening, right? In that maybe my kid shouldn't be going to this school to begin with. And maybe the Vatican is in bed with Big Pharma, because they are. All right? Let's look up some history on the Catholic Church. You got these pictures, Pope Francis, right? Putting polio drops in like the mouths of little kids. First of all, where's your medical license, Pope? You can't be doing this. You popes and priests, you guys can't be like running about town and like vaccinating people. Are you kidding me? You guys can barely baptize little babies without almost drowning their asses. Okay, we've seen the videos. Some of you popes and priests need to go back to school on how to properly put holy water on a baby's head, because some of you bitches are drowning babies. I got problems, clearly, with a lot of things, but this in particular. Pope Francis is not the first pope to promote vaccination, okay? Back in the early 1800s, you had Pope Pius the Seventh. Is it Pius the Seventh? I'm going to have to look this up. But he was saying that the smallpox vaccine was a precious discovery. But before that, you had many popes and the Vatican that were against vaccinations because of what was being used in them. They were like, absolutely not, we can't be vaccinating these kids. You think that this is bad with the Vatican? I haven't even gotten into the Muslim, what they do and their entire .org. I want to break that down one of these days, and it's not to offend Muslims, but I want to show you guys why they don't want to vaccinate and the words that they use in there, which would alarm most people in America, because a lot of the words that they're using in there is like, don't do it, homosexual blood, homosexual this, homosexual that, don't do it. Like that's, and this is a .org site. I cannot wait to show you that. I have nothing against Muslims, by the way, I just have to say that. But I'm just talking like, these are people's religious beliefs here. These are people's religious beliefs. So you better ask yourself right now, do I think every religion should just have their rights to do what they want and believe what they want? Because if that's the case, that better apply to every religion, not just your religion. It should apply to every religion. You can't be Islamophobic. There's every phobic then at that point. Christianophobic. There's all the phobics. You can't pit one against the other. You got to be okay with all of it. Okay? There was never, though, an anti-vaccination pope. Not in history where they actually have it on record of a pope being like, nope. But we have the Pope Benedict in the 1700s was inoculated against smallpox. They actually have a council of vaccination. In the year 1821, the Vatican, they have a vaccine council. Okay, the vaccine and abortion issue, they will tell you it's just from the aborted fetal cells from the 1960s, and that's it. We already know that that's a complete lie. We know that in 2015, with China and what we're using right now in our vaccines, there were new cell lines, and it's WI38, meaning there was WI 1 through 37 that didn't do it, and how they had to make the baby that was a 3-month fetus born alive in a bag so that they can extract from a live fetus for your vaccines. So if you are religious in any sense, and that's like on NCBI stuff, okay, that is not conspiracy theory, that's what they're using. I hate to be the one to break it to you. by the way, if you only are learning of this now, forgive yourself and move on. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know and move on with your life. Because that's how we have to make it through. You can't dwell on like the guilt, or else you're just never going to do better for yourself and for your family. So what are people doing then about that? Well, there was a Vatican statement that was released in June 9 of 2005. This was from it has all of their moral reflections on vaccines, and they're basically saying, this is what I'm looking at. It's on immunize.org. So if you guys want to take the time to look this up yourself, just so you know, I'm not on a mommy blog, okay? Immunize.org. This was a letter from the Vatican. They are pretty much for vaccines. I don't want to waste too much time on here. They are admitting that we are using vaccines today from these human cell lines, okay? They are admitting this stuff. They know that. Yet, why are they? And oh, there you go. There's all your flippin' references, okay? Besides Merck manuals and all that. They know. They know that this stuff is taking place. They know it's being injected into your babies, but they're also being funded, okay? Churches are being funded. This is why many pastors, not just priests, but Christian pastors, you know what? In order for them to get their tax codes, because you understand how churches work, right? They don't get taxed. Churches are making billions and billions of dollars, especially the Vatican Church, especially the Catholic Church. I mean, they've paid out $4 billion to just shuffle priests around that have molested children, right? And this is like not to do, if you're Catholic, you're Catholic. No, this has nothing to do with you. You obviously weren't involved, but you know that your church has had to pay out $4 billion, right? In donation money to harbor priests that were found to have molested children. And that money was also spent to settle out of court, to just pay families these settlements as like, sorry your son was raped by the priest. I'm sorry. The priest isn't going to go to jail though, no prison sentence for him, and we're just going to move him. We're going to take him out of Boston completely. Okay, we'll do you this solid, family with the kid that was just raped. We will move him not into like even another church in Boston. We'll make sure that we throw him into a church like in another country. The last time I did a talk on this, I had a bunch of Catholic people in my DMs who were like pissed that I mentioned this. What are you pissed about, boo? It's actually happening though. Like, you didn't do it. Did you rape these kids? Did you shuffle around these priests? No. So you're off the hook. Right? Got awfully quiet in there. Hello, Instagram world. Hello. It's not just Catholic. I'm just saying every church, you guys, case in point, why you can't let human beings dictate and run your life and make the call for your life and for your family, because human beings are capable of human error. We all are. So we need to stop. Oh, hey, Jed. What's up? You're on. Just probably pissing off a lot of religious people right now, but there's a tax code that these churches have to abide by certain codes in order to continue to get funding. Why do you think so many churches in very liberal areas, like in San Francisco especially, why do you think so many of these pastors that are like with Baptist organizations, I have nothing against gays getting married, I gotta just throw that out there. But there are many pastors who do have a problem with that. And like they don't want to officiate gay weddings, and they shouldn't have to. If they don't want to, then they shouldn't have to. Like if you are gay and you want to get married, why do you even want to hire a pastor that is like not so cool with it? Go hire a pastor that's cool with it. You know what I'm saying? But right now what I'm telling you is pastors in certain areas don't have a say. They don't have a choice. They can get fined. They can get fined. They can get in trouble with their organization. They all have a higher up to answer to. This is the truth. That's all I am just spewing here right now. And many of them, their hands are tied. You know? You have a lot of pastors that don't want to do this. They're like, look, whatever, I don't want to go on a crusade where I'm against gay people. I just don't want to officiate a gay wedding. And they're not able to make that choice. They're not able to make that choice. Or else why? Well, because a gay couple that has like spite in them can go and hire some lawyers and they can lambast these people and they can completely ruin their lives. But if they don't follow certain tax codes, they no longer get the tax break because churches don't have to file taxes. Churches don't have to file taxes. I mean, they have to file, sorry. They don't have to pay taxes, is what I'm saying. They got to file in, obviously, what's being donated and all of that stuff. But it's like your donation gets to go to the church. So that's why many pastors, Christian pastors of these large churches, because I've had some discussions with some of them, when I'm like, hey, when are you going to do a whole talk on this, the fact that all of our young boys are being poisoned with vaccines and they contain abortive, and many pastors don't even want to touch the subject. There are some that do, and I applaud their efforts, but they're doing it in creative ways. Like, well, through YouTube I'll talk about it, or I'll have like a weekly Bible study where we might bring it up, but like at the pulpit, it's very few and far between. Like you see some that speak out and they get railed on by the church because the church, the Christian and the Catholic that is still vaccinating their kids, they are putting the vaccine mythology first and their religion second. That is what you're ultimately doing because you're not abiding by your book. There's no way you're abiding by your book. Oh, but then doesn't the Bible tell us that we need to obey the governing laws? Like, isn't there that in the Bible that we need to obey the laws of the land? And how many people in the Bible had to disobey the law of the land because it didn't align with the law of their God? And I'm not siding with a culture and a society that thinks that poison is suddenly not poison. Like, there's so many things. I don't even want to get into that. That's all in these religious exempts. Which, by the way, you guys, speaking on religious exempts, you see this? It's on my website. I put it up on tellyouLikeItis.com. This thing that I was holding out outside of the, what's it called? That immunization clinic over the weekend. Okay, it's back in front. I put on the top the law codes for Nevada, but the rest of this stuff is on there. So all you have to do on tellyouLikeItis.com is you just have to print it. You have to like highlight all this portion, and I put the Spanish version on there too because I had a few of you send in the Spanish version, which is awesome. So just copy it, print it. You and the baby daddy or the baby mommy sign it because it needs both parents' signatures. That's also to protect you in the future so that the other parent can't come after you in divorce court and say they're not vaccinating our kid because you'll be like, really, bitch? You'll be like, really, buddy? We have both our signatures on here saying that we both don't want to vaccinate. So what are you going to do? I'm just saying. I feel like it's so messed up, the spouses that do this to each other. Like, are you serious? You're that pissed off at your spouse no matter what they did to you that you're going to, like, threaten poisoning your kid? Are you serious? Idiots among us. Idiots. That is some narcissistic, like, evil out there. It exists. Someone can be that mad at you. You know? So anyways, it's got all of that on there, and then you literally print it out, and you can notarize it if you want, but that's more for you and your spouse to get that notary, to get the date, right? And usually credit unions will do that for free. Then after that's done, you go ahead and you take it to the school, state land, and you hand it in. You don't need the doctor to sign this. Your pediatrician and doctor are going to be like, I'm not signing that. And they don't have to. They don't have to sign this. It doesn't need their signature. It doesn't need their signature. That's like, for them, a waste of time. Like, you came in here for that? Well, I need a health statement for my kid then. Then they better give you a health statement. And if they don't, then you need to find another pediatrician. Go to a family doctor or something like that, you know? Anyway, this thing's about to boot me off, so I'm going to log off, save it. I'm probably going to jump back on in a little bit to discuss a few other things. But guys, go take a break from everything I talked about just now. Like, I need a break from what I just talked about right now. This is some dark crap going on around us. Should we do this if we aren't putting our kids in school? Yeah, have it. Just have it on hand. Like, have a date, seal, sign, stamp. That's between, like, you guys and the notary at a credit union. Who cares? It's not between, like, you. It's just for you to have. And then copy it. Make copies, you know? Because you never know. Love is tricky. Love is love until love is hate, right? Burning desire of, like, you're it for me, and, you know, that stuff can change. There's a lot of girls on Facebook that can tell you that that stuff can change, because a lot of girls on Facebook find the love of their life 3 times a year. And you're going, well, shit. What are you, a cat? How many lives you got, girl? You got a lot of love of your lives here. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm gonna bounce off, and we will chat soon. Bye, guys.